Everything went how we want. I'm greedy.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't ask before you start talking.
Oh shit, go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay, we've got the world champion, 93 kilo, Jonathan Cayco. Congratulations on your amazing 9 for 9 performance, and his coach, Joseph Franzo. To start with, Jonathan, how does it feel to get your title back?
It was a long time coming, and it still kind of hasn't set in yet. But when I walked away from my third deadlift, I just couldn't. I was like, "Is it done?" They're like, "Yeah." I was like, "I don't believe you. Someone's gonna pull I was like, "Someone has to be pulling, right?" And they're like, "No." So.
I mean, I thought you never know what.
Yeah,
Gustav
you never
would
know.
try,
I was
but
like, dude, Gustav
I think
pulls
Gustav
like
did the smart
9
thing. He did a smart thing.
But it was a long time coming, and I'm just happy. I remember during warm-ups, I just looked at everyone around me, and I was very just happy. And I was just like, just appreciating that everyone's here, so, yeah.
All right, and Joe, do you want to brag a little bit about Cayco's performance today?
Brag a little bit. Well, I will just say that after Sheffield, I had very specific plans that would put him in a better position for this meet, and we did all of that, and it worked out great. And he even had room on a couple lifts, and I'm very, very happy with that, which is good because you guys know how the big ones scored, and there's room for him to take those. So that's very exciting. Yeah, I'm just really pleased with how everything went, and it was this specific session. It was very, very tight. Like all those lifters, especially in that top 4 group, was extremely. They're very strong. Everybody's strong. They have good guidance, and we were actually we were ahead by a little bit. Gavin had some tough calls, which kind of all right. Took him out of the equation early on. So now I got to worry about these two. Just kind of, with John, it's usually, especially when you're going against a big deadlifter, it's like if he's going to pull last, you're just taking what you can. You're trying to max him out. And like I said, we actually, when I saw his deadlift opener, I was like, wow, okay, he's on. We went with the more aggressive jump. No problem there. And then I was trying to calculate what are these guys' PRs and what would they have to do to get over him, and I was like, no, I just don't think 345 was a safe number. I don't think anyone's going to jump over that. Although I did respect Gustav's deadlift. I think he did the smart thing. It was really close all the way to the end. And here's the thing: when you go against a big deadlifter in a tight class, one lifter misses one thing that bumps them down a position. And then so now the guy that you're going against, Emil's waiting for him to mess up. So if we don't mess up, he's good to go. Emil missed the lift, and that opens the door up for the big deadlifter to come in and punish you even more. So it's you could literally drop so many positions so quickly, especially at this level. So, and the Swedish team is very smart and they make really good calls. So I like Gustav. I think he's a good competitor. We have history with him. Every time that John competes, he has to go against it's so meaningful because everybody's good. It's not like he's just going to win, blow them out. Everybody's really good. There's so many different scenarios that could play out. We did have a quick turnaround from Sheffield to here. And that's when I really got to put my thinking cap on and be okay, how are we going to get John with a short prep to this meet? And we were pretty burnt out, honestly, after Sheffield, and we did have to kind of reset the mentals. And that his training split changed a lot to the point where we weren't going to the gym as often, but we're still getting the same amount of comp work. And I think that really helped not only fix the mental aspect, but he's more recovered. And I mean, everything was great. And it was just, it was a good team effort. And I'm just really happy that the plan, when you make a plan, you want to execute the plan. We planned it out with, with everybody, and it worked. It was great. So it was very rewarding. And I was telling John's girl before the meet, I believe you were asleep, and I said, she came to drop me off some protein, and I said, this one means a lot to me because of what happened last year, and I'm here. Big part of the reason why I'm here, of course I'm here for everybody, but the big part of the reason why I came out is because I want to make it right. I felt like at Sheffield he won the interim belt, and this was the real belt. So super good, and he was 27 white lights, minefield of judging, like super, super difficult. I believe they had 5 jury members this time instead of 3. So it's, it's like, it's tough. And that's got to be like one of the cleanest performances like ever. You know what I'm saying? So, it's weird because I'm happy. I'm always like, you want to take tonight, like be happy about it. But I'm always like, I could do a little bit better there. I could do a little bit better there. You know what I'm saying? But no, he needs to. John needed this. He deserved this. And I'm just happy we got it.
Yeah, we're super happy for him as well. And John, just sticking with the performance today and the numbers today, what did you feel that you had left in the tank on some of your lifts?
Squats was like 2.5 maybe. I've squatted 300 like 7 times in a row now for the past like 6 years, I feel like.
But we did change his footing, so it's kind of like a new thing, and we just need more time in that, and I think it'll be much better.
Yeah. Bench, I had like 5 kilos.
Yeah.
2.5 for sure, maybe 5. 5 was like 50-50.
248.
Like, yeah, I'm ranging in 250 loading.
250 is nuts.
Because I felt like light. Like I unracked it, I was like, I'm just gonna go to sleep.
Yeah, he was like
I was just like using bench to like get my energy back for deads.
Yeah, he literally like I saw a second bench and I was like,
it was like a little.
Why is he asleep? And then he just turned it up.
Yeah. I'm gonna save my gas because I knew I was like tired because I come, like especially with my weight class, like I can't miss a lift.
Yeah,
I know that coming in. I'm not stupid. Like I understand that. Essentially, I have to either go 9 for 9 or like 8 for 9, or else you're just gone. So I have to like I pace myself through the meet. So like when I take that, I took 525 for my second bench or something, or 523, and I was just like whatever. Like I'm just gonna do this, and I'm gonna save my like hype for third bench, and then onto deads. So bench I had like 2.5 for sure, maybe 5. Deads. I had same thing. I had 5 kilos more. I feel like
I think he could have done 350 if we absolutely needed it.
Yeah,
but
I feel like 350 would have been like slow, but I would have like got it.
Yeah, because second to third looked better than first.
The same thing. I paced
second.
myself.
Yeah,
because I don't want to like go all out on my second and just be.
Did I mention this flight only had? I believe it was 8 people.
8 lifters. It was so fast.
I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, how did the speed of this competition affect you?
Oh my god. This is like the fastest and hardest meet I've ever had to do. By the time I got to like even my first squat, I was like hyperventilating. It was so hot, and like my third, like iron racked whatever I opened with, and I was like, bro, I'm so tired. And I kind of woke up getting to my second, and I knew my third. I was like, all right, here we go. We gotta grind another squat. Which it really wasn't that bad. I don't remember.
No, I didn't. We need to get these. I think the boys definitely, especially the guys that I had cut weight. The speed of it. Everybody's squat was like a little bit slower. So, but then they come to life.
Yeah, we come to life by like
yeah.
end of bench, like early deads. This is the heaviest I've came in. This is
that was intentional.
This is the first time I've had to sweat for a meet for the past against 6 years.
They got a great spa here.
Yeah, there was the
really,
sauna.
It's really easy to get hot.
That was a sauna. I walk in and I'm on fire.
Yeah.
So I had to sweat a little bit, and that was a new experience. I was like we were almost like testing that. It's just like how heavy can I be?
Yeah,
I wasn't worried about it, but I was like, how am I gonna feel by I was like, I know it's a fast meet, so I have to kind of respect how much I've cut, and I was able to kind of get back up to weight. Shout out to my nutritionist, and. He takes care of me. So yeah.
Yeah. Did you do anything in the prep for this meet to prepare for the speed?
Unintentionally,
because we changed my days, and like I got really good at long days that or like kind of fast, but they're long. Like I PR'd for how long I trained one day, and I was telling everyone they don't believe me.
He basically stayed in the gym all day.
I had a 9-hour training session. It was like 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out. I had a 9-hour training session. Like and I was like, I've been here a long time, bro. Like, and I'm
That,
still
that
doing
was
sets.
that. I didn't. That wasn't by design. It just ended up.
It just
he just ended up doing that.
It's because
but,
my
For
deadlifts
fun,
take a long
yeah.
time. My bench takes a long time.
Yeah.
Even my light bench still takes a long time.
He doesn't compromise quality for
Just 'cause I wanna get out.
But
Yeah.
we did combine his days. So instead of being spread out, it was like more condensed, and it worked really, really well. I felt it would address the mental like sort of drainage that we had having to compete so frequently. And then Sheffield, like imagine we had to go all out twice in like 3 months. Like it's a lot. And so,
and like every time I compete, I have to go like all out. And
man.
I think this was the first meet I didn't have to like.
But like PRing the world record total after a quick turnaround and a speed meet, I'm just saying.
I'm
That's
actually
like-
really happy with that.
What do you attribute his ability to do that? I mean, to turn around from Sheffield breaking the world record and then turn around and do it again here in such a short period of time.
Anime.
Anime, okay. I want to ask him about the mental aspect, but I think he lifts really, really clean, so that's not something we waste a lot of time on. He's very good with his nutrition timing and like making sure he's fueled up to be able to handle something like this. And fast meets, like the human body can only be like I'll use the word like aroused like for exertion like for a certain amount of time, so they complete the meet in 90 minutes to 2 hours. That sometimes that can play to your benefit, but also another thing, just what you talked about earlier, to prepare him to be able to handle this fast meet. Like I said, we changed his squat to where it wasn't so posterior chain extensive and more forward knee travel. Of course you still use your back, but it wasn't as much, and that really allowed him to save his back. So that was something I wanted to address at Sheffield, but like this meet happened to be super fast, and it was like, oh, well, that's going to work perfectly. And a lot of the other guys may not have, I try to change like a lot of things. Like I try to manipulate variables that I think some people like they may not even think that's a thing. But yeah, it paid off big time. And then also mentally, John, you had to be tough to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Like to this,
Like,
especially with the speed.
After Sheffield, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't want to do this meet. You can ask like anyone. I was just like, no, I'm not gonna.
very
Like I didn't like
drained.
going after like even going into Sheffield. I was like, no matter what happens at Sheffield, I'm not gonna do worlds. I don't like. I've been doing too many meets. I've had so many. Just like hard meets. Like some people can just do a meet. Like some people do a local meet. Some people could do like, they'll do an international meet. But they're just so ahead that they could just like take a. It's like not even a hard day. But no matter what, when I compete for the past like since 20.
It's always a battle.
19. Yeah. Every time I've competed, it's always been like I barely won, and that's just like
But
extremely.
consistently.
Yeah.
Which is like.
And it's it's like just draining.
He's building a level of mental toughness that I can tell you from experience just working with all kinds of different people. You got to really want it. It's not. It's super draining, but he did it. You just got to become a machine and realize like what kind of legacy do you want to leave.
I went into this meet, and I was like, sorry, this is kind of weird, but I was like, if I die tomorrow, like yesterday, I was like, if I die today, if I die tomorrow, like let me at least die like with grace. I was like, let me at least like do it, and if I die on my third deadlift, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's like the mentality I like always come in with. So that is like taxing. Obviously that's quite taxing.
Basically, like I'm gonna give it everything, and like, who cares how I feel? Like,
Yeah.
Which is like it's a tough thing to do, but that's what being great, and I think what John has achieved is great. Is not always going to be going to the gym when you feel like it. There are things you can do to help make that a little bit easier, but there's a lot of things you have to sacrifice, especially in powerlifting. When you get to the top and you want to stay at the top and you got to keep improving, it's like you're getting squeezed the more that you improve, and you're going to have to sacrifice more. You're going to have to give this up, give that up. And for some people there comes a point where, and that's kind of like where he was mentally, where like I don't want to keep giving things up in order to get that next little PR,
Yeah, because like, and again,
we did it.
I'll be very like transparent. I turned 31 in like 2 weeks.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, some people think I'm like 25.
Happy birthday in advance.
Thank you. Some people think I'm like 25, and like my family, my parents, they're not getting younger. So I want to like spend time with them, and I have the life. I've like, that's all like where I'm at. I'm not like 20 or like 24, 25 where I'm like, we can just do this. Like I have aspects outside of lifting that I'm like, hey, you know, time's finite. You know, like even with like Nina, you know, like, you know, we want to start, you know, we're getting to that age where it's like, hey, like, do you want your grandkids to meet your grandparents? You know, you know what I mean? So those are questions, those are questions that get developed as you know, as time passes. And you know, is sometimes it's just like I love lifting, but you know, time's ever rolling, you know.
Time comes for us all, and you have to balance that out, which is like difficult, but thankfully now we have, I believe, like
29 weeks.
It's a long time to chill out, and pace it out, and you know, address things that need to be addressed, and bring the most exciting package ever. Like I think John is setting himself up that when it's all said and done, when he looks back, like I said, time does come for us. He'll be like, man, I left it all on the table, there were ups and downs, mostly ups, but I'm really happy that I was able to leave my mark.
Yeah. Speaking of time and time passing and getting wiser as you get older, Jonathan, when you look at this World Championship compared to your first World Championship and reflect on it, what does it mean that's different now than it did 2 years ago when you won the World Championship?
Like when I won in Sweden?
Yeah, like that one versus this one.
Yeah, that was I saw Gustav. I was like, bro, this dude's jacked. I was like, man,
very,
I was like, this dude's like,
imposing,
this dude's like, this is a Chad. Yeah. And you know, Gustav's a great guy, and like, I remember getting to that meet, and I had done 3 really hard meets, injured, within 6 months of each other during 2021. I came into that meet injured, and that's the biggest mental tax thing on me. I feel like out of the last like 7 meets, I've been injured for like 6. And that was like something we...
Are you injured now?
No. This is like the first, besides Powerlifting American Nationals in 2022, this is the first meet I've not been like injured. And I was just like...
And part of that is changing his technique on squat and...
mentalities.
John will push through things and not like he won't... He'll be like, it's more important for me to do the meet than it's to like stop everything and address this, and he'll just like push through it. And I mean, because we communicate a lot, like we talk pretty much like every day. And you know, it's not like we totally could have skipped meets, and especially when there was like let's just say the schedule of powerlifting was changing, and there were a lot of commitments that we had to do, and that made us have to compete like very frequently. And when you compete, like I said, you're going max all out so frequently, it's not good for longevity. So now we can, I mean, what's crazy is like for this meet, we just fixed everything, and then we now we even have even more time. We're in a great position to set John up.
But to your question, I feel like, you know, I made things right in a sense, because last year, you know, you never know how it would have went, but like we made a wrong call, the wrong numbers put in, and like
I was in the U.S. I was like losing my mind. I'm like, you know,
I was tired. I'm just like,
it's tough. It's that's why this time I was like, nah, I need to be here. We need to make this right. And you know, it's tough. Like that third deadlift situation is really, really, really stressful, and like there's a lot of moving parts, and like when you're working, that was the first time with this group. This like country, this federation, right? And like, I feel like it's really good that I came here, because like now I know everybody, and everybody like we understand each other, and like everything is like really we're all on the same page, and it just allows us to like be one giant mind, like sort of making things happen, and
it takes practice.
Yeah, it does. When you're dealing with new personnel, like with John, with me, I was telling someone after squat, I was like, he's literally like. It was after once he became like national champion, like we never missed anything. We usually like never miss anything, right? And I'm always there. Yeah. So, you know, but yeah, it's all good. Like it's fixed now, and I'm really confident with the USA team, and I'm excited to, you know, continue to just do what we do.
All right. Well, last question, John. I'll be killed if I don't ask. Is just, you know, what's next?
Sheffield.
All right.
More than likely, like 90%, unless like
Nah, 99.
No, he said
99%.
you already answered. We're gonna cut it right when you said
Yeah,
Sheffield.
sorry.
Unless a meteorite like hits it.
Huh? Pete's not here.
He's not here. You can say.
Sheffield.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, we're just so proud of you. You're a huge inspiration to everyone out there. One of the most inspiring lifters of this generation. I think we're in the Jonathan Cayco era. By the way, I was going to ask you guys about the era situation, but we'll let you get out of here. Thank you again, and congrats to both
Thank
of
you
you.
so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Wow, a round of applause.
I gotta use the restroom.
Dude, we got so bad.
Yeah, I did too.
Dude, you okay?
Back-to-back national champion, 76-kilo lifter, Dayna McNeal, and her coach, game day coach, Mike T. Congratulations on your big performance today, Dayna. First, just tell us how the day went.
It was, for me, it was kind of touch and go. Warm-ups were kind of, they weren't the best. Everything was moving, but it wasn't moving like I wanted it to. And then I was really, really nervous. I don't know why I was so nervous. I think this meet was the most nervous that I've ever been. I go out to do my first squat, and I got the nervous jitters out the way, and then I was able to have a better meet. But still, warm-ups didn't really go like I wanted them to, but on the platform is where it counts the most, and that's where I feel like I did my best.
And, I mean, you had yourself a pretty good day, right? I mean, you went 8 for 8 going into your last deadlift.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
And how did the numbers play out?
7 for 8.
Oh, because
Going
we
to the
missed
last
the
setup
missed the
because of
bench. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We did it. We talked about you going 6 for 6, and then it was overturned after we
Yeah.
talked. That's right. I forgot about that. I apologize. But it seemed like you were in really high spirits other than the nerves and other than the warm-ups. Everything was moving well on the platform.
Yeah. thankfully.
And Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about Dayna's day and just her perseverance through these so-called slow warm-ups and all the nerves?
Yeah. I mean, I've known Dayna for quite a while, and I could see that she was nervous, but she also handled it really well. Like when it was time to go out on the platform, I don't think anyone that didn't know her really well would notice, and her execution was great. Really pleased with really everything that she did. Like all her squats looked great. They kept moving. I mean, things were a little bit slow, but today it kind of just seemed like she just had a grindy gear, So that's it was working out pretty well. I mean, her total was really close to a personal best total, which to do that at a world competition is a big deal. It's something that lots of people may not even fully understand how difficult it is to come here and perform well. It's a tough meet to do well, and she did well.
Absolutely. And I mean, speaking of squats, your third squat was amazing. I mean, you absolutely fought through. It was like a 6-second squat. I mean, like Mike had mentioned in his press conference before, when it's slow enough that you have time to think about it. What were you thinking about during that squat?
Stand up. That was the only thing. Yeah, I was hoping to make it. So I know that when I walked it out, I felt unbalanced, but walked it out, and then got the squat command, squatted it, and then as I was standing up, I was like, well, I hope I don't fall back and drop this. So just trying to grind through it.
And did you feed off of the energy of the crowd? Because, I mean, they were going crazy for that grind.
Oh, yeah, always. Like, the crowd always gives good energy, and it just, like, makes me, in the moment, a little bit more relaxed, and then I'm able to do whatever, or try to do whatever.
One thing that's been discussed quite a bit with this competition is the jury overturning lifts. And, your third bench was also, like, you're not known as a bench specialist, although you came off the platform saying, now I'm a bench specialist. Yeah. It felt really good. And then how do you deal with that mentally whenever you have what you think is a good lift, and then it gets overturned, and then now you got to go deadlift?
It just gets overturned. There's nothing that I can do about it. So, it happened, and it's unfortunate that it happened, but I can't, just dwell on that. I have to be present for the next lift. So that's my whole thought process. It's like, it got overturned. It's like, there's like a moment of shock, and then it's like, okay, well, just got to work a little bit harder to make sure that that the jury doesn't overturn any other lifts, to give them any reason. Leave no room for doubt.
And I mean, and Mike, you can also weigh in on this, like you were elated from getting that third bench, because it's something you've been working really hard on your bench. And then that roller coaster of emotions where like you're talking to me and you're feeling yourself, right? You're hyped up about it. And then, you get that news that like it's overturned, and you just, and Mike, is there anything that you do as a coach to like get her to move on from that, not dwell on it?
Yeah, I mean, if she was dwelling on it, for sure. But, honestly, I don't think I said too much to Dayna about it because she had it under control. When it was time to deadlift, we were all about deadlifts, and, that was a distant memory at that point.
And Dayna, do you have anything else to add to that?
No. That's it. Said pretty well.
So long-winded, Dayna, on your answers. The other, you're known for your huge deadlift, and you didn't end up getting your third, but a lot of people didn't get their third deadlifts. And so just what was it like being out there, like watching all these huge deadlifters and just like being in the tunnel with the other big deadlifters like Kim and Jessica, and just the energy and the excitement in the room?
So honestly, when it comes to the meet, I don't watch the meet. I didn't even have my glasses on, so I couldn't really see anything. But no disrespect to anybody, but it's something that I can't watch other people lift, whether they make it or not. I just have to just close my eyes, look within myself, and just keep myself calm, keep my emotions under control. Because like I said, I was nervous. So to see other people go out there, and especially if they're missing lifts, that's going to throw me off. So I I was just glad to be in there. I saw like the final 3 and I'm like, okay, well, this is how I imagined that it would be. And then I just went off into my own world. And then he had to tell me the bar's loaded and waiting on you several times.
Yeah, you're a very calm lifter, and Mike is a very calm coach. I mean, so it's a really good fit in there. You're not like getting all hyped up or anything like this. Like a lot of the other lifters that were in the tunnel at the same time as you were like kind of going crazy in there. But yeah, what do you think about just your competitors, the people that you were going against, being on the same platform as them? Did it totally unaffect you? Or, when you hear the crowd screaming for all these other lifters and things like that, do you relish the moment and the competition of it?
Yes. I had to think about it, but I guess I do. Just hearing the crowd and seeing like it's somebody else's turn, and I see them when they walk out, but then I just black everything else out. But hearing the crowd for them, it's good, because we're all there to compete and we're all there to do our best, and have the crowd cheer them on and cheer everyone on is great.
And I mean, do you think you're in a weight class with some legendary other lifters as well? Like, do you look forward to going against these ladies?
Of course. They're the best of the best, and the weight class is completely stacked, and I'm just honored just to be able to be in the same weight class as them and to go and compete against them.
All right, and the next question is just what's next? Are you proud and happy of this performance? Are you satisfied, or are you just going to go straight back to the grind and start prepping for nationals?
I mean, there's always things to work on. Like, I think my bench was overturned because I said it wasn't locked out, but the way my arms are, I can't help that. But just to keep working and just to keep building a total and do something better. So I guess next would be nationals and PA Nats.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll be happy to have you back to defend your back-to-back national titles.
Yes.
With your lifts, you came into this, talking about breaking the world record deadlift, and that didn't end up happening. But do you see that still? Is that something that you think is that the next goal?
Yeah, of course.
All right, we're excited to see it. And Mike, do you have any final thoughts just on Dayna's performance?
And I'm really proud of how she did today. Like I said, it's a difficult competition to perform well. She overcame like the internal stuff, the nerves, took some big shots at certain lifts, and really showed up on the day. And it's easy to wish that we had some back, or that you replay things over and over in your head, and I think that's a normal part of being an athlete. But she did a really great job. There's a lot to be proud of, and I hope we can dwell on that she dwells on that as well, and we'll get ready for nationals. And
I forgot one last question about one thing people are talking a lot about also is the speed of the competition. Do you think that had any kind of effect?
Oh yeah, it moved really fast. There was only 8 competitors in the flight. Yeah, it was very, very fast. But you just have to try to adapt and adjust to whatever's going on meet day.
Yeah. And you think that's like something that you'll work on for the next comp? I mean, do you think it affected you because you're in very athletic and great shape? I think almost it would play to your advantage in some ways.
So in prep, when I found out that it was gonna be a flight of 8, I tried to cut my my rest time a little bit shorter in order to prepare for it. But if it's gonna be like this next year, if I can come back next year, then yeah.
Oh, you'll be back next year, but I mean, because you actually do cardio, right? Like for
Absolutely
your job.
Not.
For your job, you don't have to do any cardio.
No cardio.
Oh, okay. Well, we got to add the end of the program for next time. But all right, Dayna, we'll let you get out of the hot seat. We're extremely proud of your performance.
Thank you.
And looking forward to seeing you defend and three-peat at nationals, at PA Nationals.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Good.
keep looking over periodically. You tell me when to pull back. They already don't like me, so I have nothing to lose. You know what I mean? At this point.
So just double down.
Just double down. I don't like you. Yeah. Oh. All right, so I'm gonna introduce you as my ultimate nutrition coach, and just act like you're like the best nutrition coach. I mean, you already are, but like actually believe that you are the best nutrition coach to ever walk this fucking planet. And anybody who says differently goes on a spike. Okay. All right. Here we go.
Okay, that's gonna be a hot off spot. I'll try.
All right, guys, just try to be consistent with the mic.
Yep.
And consistently closer is better.
Yep.
All right, we've got the 93 kilo superstar in the house, Gavin Adin, and his nutrition coach, Kedrick Kwan. First of all, Gavin, it was a tough day out there, and so just take us through it. You know, what happened out there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I have a list of specific reasons, we'll call them, but I think that reasons can be correlated to an excuse. You know, it's basically the same thing, and we don't give those where I'm from. So at the end of the day, we just didn't do what we were supposed to and what we knew the standard should be. You know, I think the one thing that I thought was particularly unique was what happened on that first squat. And so that's the only thing I really think is worth even addressing, just for sake of analytics, right? So going into warm-ups, Arian Kamesi handled me, did a great job along with Mike and the rest, and Rodney and the rest of the team from Powerlifting America. All did a phenomenal job. Took care of me. During the warm-ups, we knew that depth was going to be an issue, right? My body genuinely is not built to hit IPF depth. In order for me to hit IPF depth, I have to dive bomb my squat. So I have to basically push my knees past their limit of flexion. So in order to do that, I have to dive bomb the squat. I get this stretch reflex. The downside is this: I lose balance. So that's exactly what happened on that first squat. It was super easy. Strength was 100% there. I just absolutely lost balance, came up onto my toes, and wanted to save the spotter some extra work. So I put my foot forward, and we saved the bar, and we were fine. So the strategy during the warm-up, the period during warm-ups, that was dive bomb the squat, get that stretch reflex, kind of went out the window. I kind of realized if I want to maintain balance, especially with something like the world record on my back, I'm going to have to squat the way I squat in training. And just kind of like cross my fingers and pray for the best, because I know that I hit depth in training. I just don't know if it's that IPF level depth, which it is, honestly. It gets fucking overturned every single time. So that's exactly what we did going into the second. We got our 2-to-1, and then obviously we got our 2-to-1 even on the third, but then the jury overturned it. So.
And I mean, just starting off on this kind of a rocky start with the step forward and all that kind of stuff, you went from 302.5 to 310. You know, that's an 8.5 kilo jump. And then on your third, you took a 15 kilo jump up to 325. What was the conversation with you and Arian when it came to, that attempt selection?
Well, so actually it took a little growing for me. I had to kind of place my trust into Arian, which, for that second attempt. So the initial plan was 302.5, 322.5, and then the world record. We'll just chip it. Because of what happened on the first, in my mind, I knew the strength was there. I knew what adjustment I had to make for my balance. So I told him, I was like, go straight to 711. Go straight to the 322.5. Don't even pretend like this didn't even happen. And he was like, yep, okay. And then as I walk out for the second attempt, I see 310 on the board, and I was pretty pissed. Like, I look back, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Why is 310 on the fucking board? Whatever. But I trust him. And I still, after everything, I still 100% think that he made the decision that he believes was best for me, for us, for the outcome, and I don't regret that at all, and I don't blame him for that at all. Who knows what would have happened if we loaded up 322.5? We could have just ended up with bombing out, Yeah. So really, it's okay. It's fine. And again, you trust your team. Once the ball is rolling, you have to. It's so key. You have to trust your team, and so that's exactly what I did. That's why we took 310. So he put 310 in, and then and then we went for the 325 in training. As in last Friday, I jumped from 307.5 to 330. So I'm used to big jumps. You know, it doesn't really scare me. And to be honest with you, anything over 695 is all going to feel pretty much the same. So it's really just a matter of like taking it down and bringing it right back up. But yeah, that's why we went with that attempt selection.
And just, you know, it's just one of these situations where you see like how this step forward that you took on the opening squat can kind of just like derail the whole day, right? Like, because now all of a sudden you have to take this 310, then you do the 325, which you didn't really want either of those numbers, right? On the day coming into it. But mentally, I mean, you went out there, you smoked that 325. You celebrated afterwards. It looked like it was a good lift.
The judges, the referee said it was a good lift.
Yeah, the referee said it was a good lift. And then just mentally, how is that roller coaster of emotions when you're like just on top of the world, you just smoked 325, you're like, see, I knew I had that in me. You knew that you could get it. And then you get told later that it's overturned.
You know, I've been here before. There was nothing that will ever compare to how I felt at Sheffield. Because I gave so much of myself into that. And especially at that point, I had already come off of South Africa with a bad performance, having placed fourth, but also missing the world record squat on depth. And I think the difference was that at South Africa, I knew I had cut depth because I didn't give it everything. There was something flawed in my mindset. At Sheffield, not only did I give it everything, and in my opinion, you know, hit depth. The referees again at that time thought I hit depth as well. Not only did we do that, but we did it with like almost 6 kilo over the world record. So we did it in style. You know, we did it the way it should be done. We crushed the record. We didn't chip it. And to have that taken away from me on that biggest, I mean, that was arguably the biggest stage in powerlifting. That was soul crushing, especially because, you know, I don't think I quite understand the sport just yet. I don't quite understand how the IPF works, why it works the way it works, why there's a utter lack of innovation when there just doesn't need to be. I think there's a lot of missing links here that I'm just not quite seeing, that I need answers. That's all. I just need answers. I appreciate what everyone does, and you know, and I think everyone does the best that they can in every facet of the sport. Everyone from a ref to an athlete to a coach to a handler. So, you know, it's hard for me to trust that as an athlete, and so nothing will ever compare to how I felt at Sheffield. So this was like a walk in the park. This was like, dude, I knew you guys were gonna fucking do this. It's fine. You can't beat me straight up. Like, you got it. The refs gave it to me. And, you know, it's tough because when I watch that video, and even I would tell you, like, I'm very straight up with myself, and I 100% would tell myself if I cut depth, and I know when I hit depth, it's when I have my hamstring is fully lengthened, the front of it touches the calf, like I bottom out basically, and I could not have gone deeper. That's the frustrating part. And so, you know, to have the jury overturn it is tough. But again, for this particular situation, I was like, dude, it's okay.
Did it make it any easier that no one protested it, and it was just a jury overturn, that there was no one that you could like have words with in the back room?
No, I don't. You know, personally, I think that protesting another lifter's lift is a bitch move, and I still stand by that 100%. And I know some people get offended if the shoe fits, wear it. Again, I understand that it's part of the rules. That's totally okay. It's something that, you know, I again, personally just don't want to do. If I win, I really just want to genuinely do it because I met the standard and I was the strongest athlete on the platform. So no, it's not even like, you know, I want somebody to blame. I mean, in every single scenario, you blame nobody but yourself. Champions take full responsibility for the outcome, no matter what. And that is final. That is it. There is no if and or but about that. I just don't allow any sort of back and forth when it comes to that. So same thing with this meet. You know, I can watch that video, that third squat, as many times as I want. It does not change the fact that ultimately I have to be better, I have to be stronger, I have to perform to a higher standard, and it's that simple. And that's just the bar that we hold for ourselves. So it doesn't matter if somebody protested it or somebody didn't.
And Kedrick, to bring you into this, I mean, what was Gavin's mood like after this was overturned, and how was your assessment of the way that he handled it?
I mean, I saw what happened at Sheffield. Nothing close to that, right? At least I could still approach him. I just said that, you know, whatever happened on the platform, forget about it, right? You see off the bench, You still have to deadlift. You're not out of the race. I just looked at him. I like held your shoulder or something, some part of your body, because your body's huge, and they said, right, forget whatever has happened, let's just move on, right? And yeah, I think he did well. Bench was phenomenal. I thought that obviously I'm kind of also like playing two sides because I coach Emil Krastev from Bulgaria, and we play all these prediction games. I didn't predict that Gavin would hit 220. I thought, yeah, cool, based on his openness, 217.5, but 220 was phenomenal, right? So I could see that he recovered from that, right? I just told him, just leave the squat aside, go on the bench, and we'll take things from there.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with you, Gavin, after, and I was extremely impressed, like with your maturity, your levity, your ability to joke about it in the moment, but then get right into bench. I mean, this is a super fast-paced competition. There's really no time to dwell. And you come back and you string together 5 straight good lifts, right? So, I mean, what were you telling yourself about as far as just move on, get on to bench?
Yeah, I mean, it's twofold, right? Number one, you don't really allow yourself the ability to dwell on things. The next part, I think, is that no one's coming to save you. You can wallow in self-pity. You can complain and make excuses and be, the jury, or you can just be better, right? And I think it's honestly easier to just be better. And you have a team with you, right? I mean, it's not just me. This is Team USA. How do I want to represent my home country? And the people that are with me, fighting alongside me, I can't just let them down and throw in the fucking towel. Kedrick goes over the fucking moon to make sure that my shit's locked in, that we're dialed in. All of our coaches on the team, they go above and beyond to make sure we are good. We're set to go. And I'm not going to just let them down. And I think the last piece of it is just having some gratitude, be grateful for where you are. It's not supposed to be easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it. And it's that simple, and I do like to think about, what, if I am the example, what do I want to lead by? What should my behaviors be? Right? My dad raised me. He said, I'll never ask you to do something that I either haven't done or wouldn't do myself. Right? And that has stuck with me. I want to be able to look at anybody who I truly believe in, and I believe in everyone. And I want to be able to tell them that they can do great things, that they can overcome insane adversity. But how can I look at them and say that if I haven't done it myself? And that's what this is about, and so that's what I think about.
That's amazing, man. You definitely set a standard for that. And yeah, it was a great comeback. I mean, that squat was the difference between where you finished in 5th and moving you all the way up to 2nd place. So for you to have that kind of, levity in that situation and to move on, I think is speaks volumes about your character. Take us into the strategy going into deadlifts. So, you hit your first 2. What happened on the 3rd?
Well, so on my last warm-up, I tweaked my back. It was the same sensation I had when I was injured before Sheffield. And I haven't felt that in months. So I knew something was up. I knew that either this meet was just moving so fast and my body couldn't recover, or that maybe something was off with my fluid, something, which, again, I felt really strong for squats and for bench. It was just very, very odd that my body would feel so kind of brittle going into deadlifts. But I knew I wasn't feeling 100%, and I knew that it would be a scrap, it would be a fight. Yeah, so first attempt, 683 was felt pretty heavy, and then the second, which was 330, whatever that is, 727 or 730, whatever that is, that was hard as fuck. I mean, that 100% I felt, and I felt it in my back and everything, and so I kind of knew going into the third, like, I'm just going to rip my muscle off the bone and go as hard as I can and see what we can do, and I had told Arian, to load whatever it would take to get to first. We don't really care about anything else. I don't even remember what the third attempt was. I just know I didn't get it. But yeah, I think I was just super off come deadlifts, and we'll definitely have to fix that.
And what do you think that the pace of this competition affected you? I mean, it was extremely hot in there. It was very humid. Like, everyone was like waving fans and stuff like this. What do you think? Do you think you were kind of drained by the end?
Yeah.
Or is it just the injury, or?
Yeah, but like, who gives a fuck? I mean, Cayco did 4 kilos above what he did at Sheffield. So like, how can I have an excuse,
Yeah.
right?
I love that mentality.
Even if it's true, what does it change? They were able to do it. Why can't I? We all bleed, we have all fought hard to be here. So, yeah.
But, I mean, I guess the reason would be to think about it would be to what kind of adjustment you can make going forward. And, like training faster sessions, training in different, warmer conditions, whatever.
I'll definitely be thinking about it. First thing that comes to mind is just replicating as close to a meet atmosphere as I possibly can in training. Speed, of course, is one, but also just total tonnage of the meet. Having an opener, second, and a third when it comes to setting up our SBD days, because we do have SBD days, but setting it up like that. The world meets always feel way different than any local meet or even like Sheffield. They feel much more stiff, rigid, not as fun. The music is elevator music, so like it's tough, it's a different environment. You travel a long ways away from home, you put a lot into it, you're tired, you're exhausted, there's a lot of shit that you could make excuses for, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of variables, and I think it's all nonsense. Like, although it's true, again, your competition goes through the same shit, you're all going through the same thing. So in terms of like making those adjustments for training, that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'll have that discussion with Kedrick and also with my powerlifting programming coach, John Song, and we'll talk about that. We'll figure out what we need to do, both from a nutrition standpoint, but also from a programming standpoint, what we can fix moving forward.
The number was 342, and it would have pulled you into third in the final standings. At the time, I don't know what it was. It might have been enough to pull you into first. But it was a Sheffield qualifier. Okay, so that's what Aaron was going for, was to get you that 95%. Kedrick, same question to you as far as just like assessing his performance at the end. He kind of said ran out of gas a little bit, was feeling like the second attempt on deadlift was feeling very tough, had the back injury. What do you assess as far as what can be improved upon for the next comp?
I think the first thing to look at we can't really control the climate, right? I like to say I can change the temperature. But I feel like Gavin was sweating way more doing squats than he was at Sheffield. Like I said, after the third squat happened, I went to Gavin and his face was like really sweating. So immediately I'm like, okay, cool, has to hydrate. Right, made the stuff, passed it to him. I told Aaron passed the bottle to him, and yeah, we got through that. And deadlift is interesting, right? People do say like deadlift is more fatiguing. With that quick turnaround, you also have to know that potentially the loading's quicker. They don't have to change the rack height. They go in really quick, and the pace. I feel like the pace is just really was something that was hard to account for. Not to mention that with deadlift changes as well, like it can change so quickly. Bam, bam, bam. And these people that are lifting massive amount of weights, they're like huge men, right? So that itself, it's very different if like Natalie Richards, perhaps she could sustain the pace, right? But for all these people to walk and it's hot, not to mention you start at 8, right? I think that really impacted things. If you compare that to the flight B, where they had Group A, Group B, Group C, what happened? You look at, and this is not to take away anything from any of the lifters that competed in Group B, but from the first person that stepped on the platform to the last person in their group, they probably had 1 hour worth of rest. That's massively different. Like, I joke, I say like, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lower my nominations and go to Group B and then just put a 900 kilo total on my lifter, and then nobody can beat that because everybody have to play catch up with their breathing and the pace. So I definitely think that was one of it. Personally, when I look at how Gavin squat and how he bench, I knew that the hydration was on point. I think Sheffield, we did a bigger cut. This time I wanted a smaller cut because I knew an 8-man flight would be much harder. And I think that went well, because typically what happens during the rehydration or refueling process, that the squats get massively impacted, and then the bench, just because you don't get the rehydration and the fuel in you in the early stages. But for the deadlift, I would probably just say it's the pace. I don't think we could have done much. I got Gavin to have another shot of pre-workout, right, just to give him that extra little kick. I got him hydrated, carbohydrates, electrolytes, and the variable that I can't control is one, the temperature. Second would be the pace. I don't know which it is. It might be both. It might be none. But those would be the variables that, it was out of our control. Not to mention the 7 minutes of rest, which is 3 minutes less than what things usually are like.
Yeah, and Gavin, I mean, you mentioned this isn't your first World Championships, right? This is your third World Championships, right? Just want to, you say it's different, and there's something that it's different about coming to Worlds, and people's totals generally go down. We saw Cayco had a hell of a day. Hats off to him for that. But, I mean, what do you assess that you're going to do going forward to just be better prepared? Because you're going to be back to the World Championships.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah, I gotta take some time to think about it. I mean, usually what I do after a meet is self-assess, and then once I've self-assessed, I will ask my coaches to do the same on their own. We'll come back together, see what clicks and what doesn't, and we'll just slowly address everything. You have to take the emotion out of it. It is what it is. So. There is no point in dwelling on it. So I think moving forward, obviously some programming changes will be made, potentially some nutrition, changes will be made. I mean, we were pretty on point, this time. I will be very curious. I'm going to have some conversations, not just with my coaches, but with IPF referees and judges, and just get their take as well, see what I can do to improve as a lifter. Obviously, they think that there's more that needs to be done in order for me to reflect my competence, and so that's fine. I have to respect that, and so I have no problem having those conversations with them. It is tough. It can be discouraging, especially because, again, it's not I'm not choosing, to especially like if we're talking about squat, to squat high. I'm not choosing to do that, So it's tough because you can only do so much.
And it's not a strength issue. Like, you blew it up both times at Sheffield
which,
and here.
You bring up a great point, which is tough for me internally, honestly, because I didn't get into powerlifting because I love powerlifting. I got into powerlifting because I wanted to be a world champion. Powerlifting just happened to be the vehicle. And so now it's not that I'm thinking like, oh, should I even powerlift anymore? It's not really like that. It's that I don't even feel like I'm fucking battling Jonathan or any of these other great lifters. I'm battling the judges, the referees, and the jury. It's incredible. So, it's frustrating, especially as an athlete, because you don't have as much agency as you think you do at this level, under these lights and with these standards. And I don't think the standards should be lowered at all. I just would like more clarification on the standards and maybe more technology involved with upholding the standard and, more consistency with the standard. And, I think that if people are gunning to get an athlete, oh, nope, we got him, that's it. Yeah, not going to count, buddy. That's the wrong approach. Nobody wants to show up to a fucking meet where everybody bombs out and it's a sea of red. Right? Especially if it's not because of strength. So it is frustrating for me as a lifter when I know I'm giving everything and I am training to a high standard. I know I am. And I will continue to raise that bar. I have no problem, with doing that. But it's very frustrating if you consistently do that and realize that it may never be enough, given the situation. Obviously, I don't hold on to that mentality. I always like to think that I have to be better. But it is tough because, again, I'm here to be strong. I'm here to be the strongest. So it is frustrating if I know that I am arguably one of the strongest, if not the strongest, 93 kilo lifter in the fucking world. To have an 860 total at a world level meet and place 5th or 6th or whatever the garbage, placing I got. I mean, what is that? Why am I here, right? I didn't show up for that. I showed up to be number one. And, and what I will say to kind of finish that statement is I know a lot of athletes, and maybe some people will take offense to this, and I understand if they do. They said the same thing to me in South Africa. Yeah, but you're young and you placed 4th, right? And it's like, you're the 4th strongest. I'm like, you guys don't fucking understand. Powerlifting ain't that deep, right? So 93s is one of the most competitive classes we've got. And even then, we've got maybe, if you are being generous, 6 guys, including myself, that are actually competitive. And this is no disrespect to those other guys, because I've been there. I was those other guys for a long time, and honestly, technically, I still am one of them, right? Maybe 6 guys. So if you place 5th out of 6th, 6 really hard competitive guys, what is that? That's horrible. If you place 2nd out of 6 super competitive guys, what is that? That's terrible. 1st is the only option. That's it. And in some of these other classes that are less competitive than 93s, it's even worse if you don't place first. And again, I understand that sounds a little harsh, but that is the truth. And I think, again, I need people to understand the gravity of what we put into being here, sacrificing months, the money, the time, I mean, the sweat, everything, you know? So again, I just want things to be fair and consistent. No different than why I have the opinion about protesting other lifters' lifts. Just want things to be straight up honorable. If you're stronger, you win. To a standard, absolutely. To a high standard, the highest. If you're stronger, you win.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember when they asked Giannis after the playoffs were over if this season was a failure because they didn't win the championship? And his answer was something along the lines of no, because there's lessons learned and all this kind of stuff. What's your take on that same question? Walking away from here, I mean, you kind of just answered it. Without the gold medal, is it a total failure, or what's your mental approach to, are you basically going to take that you're going to learn something and that's a success, or is it just everyone except for first is a loser?
No, well, first of all, everyone who isn't first, I mean, that is true. You know, we're going to be objective, right? You didn't take first, so you weren't first, so you're not first, you're not the best, okay? So we can be honest about that, and it's okay. But that doesn't mean that that failure is what it is by definition. It's what you perceive it to be, and I perceive failure to be steps to success. The only way I truly fail is if I give up or I die. I'm not willing to give up, and if I die, I mean, I've embraced that. So I know that so long as I keep going, I will find success. And it's the journey that matters. You know, the job is just never finished. And even if I won, even if I took first today, I promise you I would feel exactly how I feel right now. In fact, I'd probably feel a little bit worse because I'd be like, all that for what?
What if you won with 860?
Oh my gosh, I'd feel like, please, just fucking, don't even let me go home. No, you know, it's, again, I stand by, you know, if I misspeak or if I offend in a way that I feel was certainly not meant to be, or certainly was not intentional, I will 100% do everything I can to own up to that. But on the same token, I also like to stand by who I am and what I say. And the truth is, I do believe that the floor should be a minimum of 900 for 93 kilo lifters. You know, we are the best class in the IPF, I believe, and the deepest class in the IPF, I believe. And I believe that we have the potential to be some of the greatest lifters to ever go down in history, to ever do this. Not just for some bullshit titles and records, like as men, as individuals, as strong individuals. And I believe we can lead a whole world. I genuinely do. I mean, we inspire people, man. I truly do believe every single person has greatness within them, and they just have to tap into it and work and bleed and sacrifice, and they'll get there. And I say that as humbly as I can, because of course I believe the same about myself. So yeah, no, I definitely would. If I totaled 860 though, oh my gosh, and won, I feel like that'd be worse than totaling 860 and losing. Yeah.
Well, good. Then in that case, I'm happy for you to finish fifth place, where you deserve, I guess.
Yeah. Lesser of two evils. Right? Why not?
Last question would just, you've gone head to head with Jonathan Cayco several times, and what do you have to say about your competitor in Jonathan Cayco?
Same thing I would say to him, and what I have said to him either after this competition or the 3 other times that he's won. He was somebody who I admired coming into powerlifting, and he's somebody that I respect greatly. I think forget about like who people are as individuals. I think that's one pillar, but there's also something about a track record that you have to respect. And so of course I want to respect that, and that's something that, again, as somebody who really does, I take that stuff very seriously, and that's a conversation that we had after this meet. I told him respectfully, I have to beat you, brother. Like, this is the last time. This has to be the last time. And that's all it is. We have the luxury. This is not a fight to the death, And so I have the luxury of not hating my opponent. I said it in the interview before Worlds, and I'll say it again now. I only have 2 opponents. I have myself and the weight, and that's it. At this point, maybe the jury, but that's to be decided. No, but in all seriousness, so that's what it comes down to, man. And as I told him, as I told Emil, they sharpen me. Iron sharpens iron, and so I'm grateful for them. I respect them. Of course, I want to win and I want to defeat them, but it's less about them losing and more about me becoming the best, and fulfilling my potential. So hopefully that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. Man, you're a huge inspiration. People love you because of who you are, not necessarily what happens out there on the platform and what happens with the referees. And you've inspired a whole new generation of lifters coming up behind you. So thank you for that, and thank you for everything that you do. We're extremely proud of you, and I can't wait to see what's next for Gavin Adin. So
Yeah, dude.
congratulations, even though I know you don't feel like you deserve it, but you do, for just leading your life the way that you do and inspiring so many people.
I'm trying my best, man. God first. You know, the rest is just my work. That's it. So thank you guys, everyone. Seriously, everybody on the team from Powerlifting America. This is a precedent. You guys are setting a precedent. I know it's hard, and I give you guys credit because you're going to get a lot of hate. You're going to get a lot of shit. When you're the first person to do it and pioneer a way, yeah, people are going to fucking talk. And then they're going to copy you. So look forward to that. You know what I mean? But yeah. So again, thank you guys so much. And for everybody watching, we literally, and I mean this with 100% conviction, there is nobody in this room, on that platform, in chairs, that can do what we do if you guys don't watch and support. And or compete yourselves and aim high. You know, we just can't, and we do it for that. You know, so I really hope that I was able to provide some source of entertainment, inspiration, just a show, and I look forward to doing better than ever. But I also look forward to seeing you guys do better than ever as well. So
Awesome, man. Well, thanks again. Appreciate you.
it wasn't too spicy. I kept it at an 8 out of 10. That's how I would rate that one.